Good morning, everybody. Just getting started here a little late today. Did a Rumble Premium session earlier today that had me behind in all my morning duties, so we started this show a little late. Anyway, welcome to DYOR Live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great show here on this last day of September 30th. 2025, and I'm trying to get this right in between two so we can answer. But ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, Mr. Pedro Garcia in the house. Pedro, what's happening today?
Hey guys, how you doing? It is a beautiful day. I am full of excitement and joyous anticipation for the dope stuff we're doing today. And
joyous anticipation. I guess that's the best way to look at what's going on with the show. Let's get rid of this starting soon banner and say that we're starting now. Anyway, September 30th, 2025. It's the end of the month. It's the end of September. Pedro and I have been planning on a red September, but while it was red 2017 to 2022, it was green 2023 and 2024, and it looks like it's going to be green in 2025 as well. So I think we just put that red September stuff to bed and start looking for the hunt for red October. One shot, Vasily. One ping, Vasily. One ping. Maybe we'll get it in October as well. Pedro earlier on the Rumble Premium that I did this morning mostly covered the Donald Trump speech to the military today, which was a typical Donald Trump I've done everything awesome speech in which he was a little tired and seemed to ramble on, but nobody really cared. He gave his speech and general stood up and cheered, and now they're off back to doing their thing. But I did spend a little bit of time going over Bitcoin and talking about what we wanted to see happen. I guess I forgot to start the show's timer here. But anyway, see what wanted to happen over the next month. Pedro, what is going to happen? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Technical Tuesday today. We'll get into Technical Tuesday later. But first, Bitcoin. Pedro, what's happening with Bitcoin here at the end of the month?
That's great. So it is absolutely fabulous and exciting time in Bitcoin, as you can see. So we basically closed below the 8. We're pulling back on the weekly chart, right? So we created that supply, or that the supply wick right here, that wick up here, and now we're going to continue down. So you can see here we went up for the first part of the week, right? Sunday and Monday, and now we're coming down. So it all depends on how strong. You can see how volume was dropping off here since really Sunday and into Monday here. But yes, you saw it coming in. I'm expecting it to come down. They're pushing up. I think they're pushing it down. We kind of closed above this area, so they've stopped everybody else out. And we've got that 8-period moving average, which is kind of on the weekly, kind of holding us down. So I expect at least come and put in a decent supply wick, at least into Wednesday, Thursday-ish. And then probably we'll see some taking profit on Friday. That's kind of like where I'm expecting, or what the week is looking like here. So that is what we're seeing here. And this is, and if that does happen, we will close the month off around, and this is key, we want to keep it around this area. I would like it to close above that 15.8, but even around here, 111, 110 isn't bad. I'm just saying, it's not that bad from a price point, from a trader standpoint. So that's what I'm looking at here. But ultimately, we're kind of having resistance on that 8-period moving average on the weekly chart. So that is a beautiful thing, though. A very beautiful thing.
Well, like I said, it looks like it's going to be green for September. Internet and Twitter influencers, as usual, wrongamundo, as they say. Everyone is preaching the September effect and all that. So I paid attention to that pretty much all month. If it was going to follow that trend or not making my own prediction, just seeing if it was or it wasn't. And it didn't. But I wasn't, Pedro, I really didn't trade in the markets this month at all. As you noticed, I haven't been talking about it much. Had a lot going on, as they say here. So I didn't do my monthly outlook. I shouldn't say. Haven't been doing my weekly outlook that I've been practicing for, that we talked about yesterday on the show, in my effort to broaden my knowledge and all that type of stuff. But I was gonna do that on the upcoming month. And what I was trying to remember, I didn't go back and look at the show from yesterday, but what I was trying to do is go back and remember what you said, is that if October was going to be down for the month, that we would see the kind of this week, and I'm a little confused because this week overlap the beginning of October kind of is the end of this week, and there's all kinds of things going on. But we would see the beginning of October go up, the middle 2 weeks was go up, then go down, then go up, and then go down a lot in the last week of October, if that's what I recall you saying. That's not going to do that, but that would be a likely pattern for it if it was going to go down for the month. And so that's what I talked about earlier. So October probably won't be a heavy trading month for me either. I'm going to take, my plan is to take a couple of longer term trades, rely on the hour and 4 hour charts, and practice staying away from the 1 minute charts, because I've practiced those a lot. But anyway, the point is that at some point Bitcoin has to come down into those liquidity points that Pedro keeps talking about all the time. It didn't happen in September. Why not October? What do we got here? We
actually did hit those, a lot of the suppliers. We had one right here.
Yeah.
We also had 2 or 3 of them. There was one right here, which was at that 113. The other one was sitting at the one like 109-ish area, and then we had one at 108. So it was one of those ones that was like, it did hit, but it just didn't hit the lower ones that I'm expecting us to come and test. So it's hard. I mean, they're the brightest minds doing this in the world, and they struggle. So I'm pretty good at it. I'm not perfect.
That's true. That's why I'm your student. That's why I sit here and think about it. And like I said, I was getting into it more in July and the beginning of August. But this part of the year has always been tough for me, schedule-wise. And then I had some other personal things going on and other work things going on that were unplanned. So didn't spend a lot of time in the market. Anyway, let's take a moment, ladies and gentlemen, to thank the people that are watching us. Do a little audience interaction here. Let me see if I can get the right window up here. Look at that. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. Who's with us today? We've got Mr. Patrick Stefanik. Get your shit together, Tom. Yes. And my mentor always says, if I catch you looking at a 1 minute chart, I'll smack you. Yeah, I know. That was one of the models that I learned to trade was the when price action comes up above the 200 period moving average on the 1 minute chart, which then gets confirmed by the not confirmed, but reinforced by the 8 period moving average, and then the 21. And that's been good to me. And so I did a lot on the 1 minute chart for that. And then, of course, if it did it on the 1 minute chart, then you look to the 5 minute chart to see if it's going to do it there on the 15 minute chart and all that type of stuff. And I don't have to go through that at all with you there. But anyway, we haven't seen Mr. Chuck. Let me rerun this DYOR Rumble thing here.
I actually liked it. So Pat, we have a similar mentor. We actually have the same mentor in trading, and Pat's quite being very nice compared to how our mentor would be. It would be like,
motherfuckers, what the hell are you doing?
That's exactly what he would do. I mean, in the most caring, loving way. He's like a drill sergeant, and he does it purposely, so he freaks you out. And then you're like, I don't want to get yelled at again. He's like, I will fire you as my student. You're like, wait, I paid you. He goes, you know how much money I make? I don't care about your money. Like, I want you to become a good trader. And then he yells at you for another 10 minutes. And then you feel like a little kid and you go back and you start to do the right thing. I want to get yelled at again. And you go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Pedro and I got a little late start today because of the premium thing going on this morning. But anyway, trying to get us back on our normal schedule. It's the bottom of the hour going into the second half hour or so. As always, you're joining us just now. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking. The man in this box next to me enjoying a delicious breakfast is none other than Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst. You're watching DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. Bitcoin trading up a little bit today. On the markets, the opening bell didn't move that much this morning because Trump was speaking. Everyone was waiting for him to drop some bomb about tariffs or something like that in his speech, but he just talked about, all he did was talk about solving all the world's problems and how he's done such a great job, and the last guy did such a terrible job. And the general sat and nodded and didn't. When even Trump said, like, let's see a show of hands, which generals, would rather do A or B. Not a single person raised their hand. They're like, we're not answering yes, we're not answering no. We're just sitting here and nodding like military people. Yes, not getting involved. Trump even joked about it. Pedro saying, he said, yeah, and if you don't like what's going on here, you can get up and leave too. I don't mind. Well, it'd probably be the end of your career, but It was pretty funny. It was interesting. They said that was generally the top 11 generals that form the Joint Chiefs and related commands get together in person twice a year, and only twice a year, and very formal and yada yada yada. And basically, the gathering of the generals hasn't happened since Washington was the only general, and he gathered himself. So since then, but now, in World War II, we had 4 4-star generals and 1 5-star general. Now we have like 300 4-star generals, and they got generals. We got generals like the Russians got colonels. They're just everywhere. Which means we're oversized on the staffing, and they did hint to some reforms coming. And I'm guessing as generals retire, a lot of commands will be merged into other things, which is good, because the message is, let's get more money to the war fighter, not to the war staffer. But as most people don't realize, the armies operate on logistics and bureaucracy. That forms most of the important parts. The bureaucracy needs to buy all the stuff and get it into the right place, and logistic needs to come in and move it to the soldier on the front line. If we can do that, we can have an expeditionary force. If we can't do that, we have a self-defense force. Anyway, it's always good to hear Mr. Trump take credit for everything good in the world and blame everything bad. He even said we've won every war, that we've never lost one. And I was like, hey, we didn't do so well in Vietnam and Korea. Afghanistan didn't really, killed a lot of people. But there's no doubt about that. If you gauge winning on how many people you killed, we definitely won. But I don't know. Good for nationalism. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you know what today is? Everyone knows what today is, right, ladies and gentlemen? Everyone knows what today is. I'm going to see if I can play this and get the sound out to everybody. It's Technical Tuesday! That's right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and Technical Tuesday it is. I got to update those graphics on that. Oh, good. The music actually went out over the thingy. Ladies and gentlemen, Technical Tuesday is the day when generally we talk about the world's markets and how they affect your bags. We talk about, I should say the word, I use the term we rather loosely. And I should say Pedro goes over this, but I'm learning. One of the things I learned from Pedro was that the bond markets give the secrets away to the world. and what people believe in. And it stemmed from the fact that a bunch of years ago, you hear me talk about this a lot, when the government was talking about the jobs report. Pedro says, I don't believe it. And I was like, why? I was skeptical. And he said, look at the bond market. The government's saying one thing, but everyone in the markets is putting their money in somewhere else. The bond markets show it first. And I said, okay, let's see if that plays out. Sure enough, it did. It played out. But anyway, the bond markets are where people put their money for safety, if they don't know what's going on. If they sense the government is putting out bad numbers, they're like, they sense corporate people are putting out bad numbers, they want higher yields, or I shouldn't say corporate. Government bureaucracies and agencies are putting out bad information. They think they're borrowing too much money. If the Fed isn't doing what it should, yields go up. Yields go up because people want to get more for the risk. So I always found that interesting, and so I said, let's do a Technical Tuesday. So every Tuesday we do this Technical Tuesday and review what's going on in the major markets. That's a long intro for saying, Pedro, what the hell's going on in the world now? I mean, there's no more wars. Trump solved them all, right? So everything should be great.
Yes. Well, we've got a few things I think here to really kind of watch. People are literally still buying the NQ. And they just keep buying it. Part of me feels it's one of those ones, and the reason why I'm bringing this up instead of the euro, not the euro, the Earth, I forget even how they say it. It's like I gotta figure out how to pronunciate this term, but it's just following the Nasdaq, which is really, or it's following the big seven, the Magnificent Seven. And remember how I have this? Where's it at? Right here. You know how this is the top 10 largest corporate entities in America?
Right.
This right here. So they're basically following this. I basically merged the Magnificent Seven together and a few other ones here, but basically Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Nvidia, Tesla, Meta, United Health, just to kind of give us a roundabout which way the top stocks market cap wise are going. And so you can do that here on TradingView. If ever you want to learn how to do, just hit this right here. Excuse me, don't mean to do that in your ear, but you see this right here. You can type in whatever you want, and then you just hit plus. So you can see how I hit plus, and I don't know why that's doing that. It should not be like that. Give me 1 second. Here we are. And what happens is, as you can see, it gives you a correct chart here of really what's happening, because the Magnificent Seven, which is basically, Google, Microsoft, all the top tech stocks, they've been holding. Is AI being over? AI itself, the true AGI and ASI is not overblown. It's coming. Okay, to reiterate that. But are they as close as they say they are? I don't think they are. But the fact is that if they hit it before any other nation or any other country out there, and we get to it, it will be the most dominant force on the face of the earth, apart from the male Christian church. And the reason why I say that is if we see it sell off, like the next leg, and this is huge, it's important to understand. We could basically see what is that? We could see a 20% drop quick, really quick, with the whole entire, because literally you can see at this level, that 2960 area from the peak, starting to show weakness, and it's really playing off of the weekly chart. You can see that 8 playing here. Now again, this is a made up chart that I made, but it basically has given me the mean of what the top Magnificent 10 stocks out there are doing that hold the largest market cap. And I've done this enough times to know, like, in an industry, when I put these together, if it starts to show me weakness, that's important. And so I'm watching this here right now, and as soon as if we break that 8-period moving average, which is sitting at the 2900 mark area here, right? I would expect, and this is a close on the weekly, then I would expect us to see a continued down into, I mean, at least a 20% pullback, because there's nothing else holding it there. And that's why I'm looking at it going like, it would be here, and then the next one would be down at these lower levels here. And this is where I'm expecting it. So the truth is I was sitting there going like, why isn't it selling off? And then I realized, because the rest of the world is invested in the actual within our Magnificent Seven. And so most people are betting on the US to reach AGI before any other major country out there. And the biggest reason why, in all reality, is because we literally are, we always innovate. We're very clever as a nation. We may not be the smartest, but I feel like we're definitely more the most cleverest. Like somebody once said to me, he's like, Pedro, you're not this was in the military. He goes, you're not as smart as you think you are. You're just really clever. And I was just like, I said, Chief, I'll take both. Basically, he was calling me dumbass who's lucky, right? And pardon the language, but it's just like, I started laughing because I was just like, I'll take it, man. And so America, we just keep breaking stuff until it figures itself out. And that's not the best model, but it typically is the model that wins. Just ask the Wright brothers, right? So it's one of those moments that it's like, who's going to win that? And so with that said, I'm expecting us to continue going up on this. We're not showing weakness in the aspect of like what I think, even though, and here's the other part, the jobs reports today were actually fair. And I do believe them now. And the reason why is you can see it in the bonds, right? Job reports coming out, and we're watching some things actually, and because they're doing the BLA, the Bureau of Labor Statistics here. And let me actually pull this up here real quick because I think it's real interesting. Come on. Oh, don't tell me it's gonna slow down. Where's it? Did I copy the wrong? I was trying to find this before we started. Employment wages data. Quarter.
While Pedro's doing that, thanks everyone watching today on Rumble, on YouTube, Twitch, and X. In fact, I don't have the X comment section up there. I usually get 1 or 2 comments there and always forget to put them up here. Let me take a moment here to drum that up.
It's not being...
let's see, X profile, striking. Thanks to you 5 viewers over there. I appreciate it. Hopefully you're still watching. As always, it makes a big difference for us if you like, comment, repost. Any of the interaction that other channels ask you to periodically do, we're going to beg, plead, and grovel for you to do it every day because it helps us out so much. And it shows when it shows in our Rumble numbers when we get a lot of people sharing and clicking that share, clicking that repost button, you see our numbers go up dramatically as they boost us up in the feed.
So we're just going to go here. I want you guys to check this out. So you can actually come here into the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and you can run in and you can see that where the actual jobs are being really held. You can actually see what's actually happening here. And if you log in, I'll show you the records with suppressed employment and wages. Let's see if they'll give this to me. isn't it giving it? Why is it blocking it?
The government getting ready for a shutdown, so it's stopping the feeding of the data here? Or?
Yeah, I don't know why it's not pulling up. It's real interesting. I was pulling up before we even went live. That's why I'm like, what? I don't understand why it's not going up. I'm gonna have to call him and figure out what I did wrong. Well, that didn't go as well as I planned. Okay.
Well, everybody, I hope you all learned a lot there. We do have a question, right. Pedro, about your chart there.
Yes.
Your chart. Oh, I guess it didn't. I can't. It's how is that number determined? The pricing number, the total value number. What is that number on the x-axis over there?
Basically, it just added all these together and divide them. Gives me the mean, and it adds it all together and gives me the mean of all of these stocks, I believe. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Divided by 10.
All right, welcome Brando Commando to the house. Yes, red October, but not red candles. Baby Draco in the house. You need to create a token on Pump Fun and go live with the show. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that when I get back to the Ottawa studio here. I'm still in Toronto, and just working off a laptop. And I'm just surprised I can get this whole show together working on a laptop when I have the big computer back. Well, the old big computer. But anyway, thanks, Jesus. And as he says, good morning, Chads, Chumbalones, and Chumbalinas. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Technical Tuesday, going over the larger market indicators. That doesn't mean we're not going to answer some questions for you on the second half of the show. Last week, we tried to go over... I thought Striking Senior was interested in British Airways stock, but he was actually interested in Boeing stock. So maybe today in the second half of the show, we can go over that. But if you have something you want us to look at, we'll do that first because you're our viewers.
Absolutely. What's up, Baby Draco? Good to have you. Infineon. Send us the chart of Infineon and we'll pull it up and we'll check it out. So let's go ahead and go over a couple of these things here. So like I said, I'm expecting this to actually come down into these lower levels here. It's just one of those things that it's just, well, it could keep running on forever. I mean, that's them. The government can definitely do that. But I just wanted to show you that we actually had a decent amount of kind of jobs coming in over the summer, over the last month. I was expecting it to be a bit weak, but it was okay. So with that said, I would expect to see us really start to see some volume pick up in the statistics, or not the statistics, but within trading volume coming in. With that said, if we're going to see that, we want to see the market in October go down first. That's what we want to see. And if we see that, I would expect to see it kind of a pullback to this 50 period moving average, sitting about that 28, which means that the Magnificent 7 is going to see a pullback at the beginning of October before we see it push up. And that would be kind of a good thing. That's kind of like what we want to see, because a lot of times when it pulls back, it brings in more investors or more traders, and then they take part in that next push up. So we're able to kind of hold in on a long trade in October if we expected to see it pull back. Yeah, October pump, exactly. Potentially is what I'm expecting some form to actually happen. We want to see a gap down and it go down first. It's typically what I really want to see, an imbalancement of sellers, people taking profit, going down these lower levels here, and then pushing back up. So that's kind of like what I'm expecting it. And that is kind of like my my view over the traditional or TradFi markets and what we're seeing right now. On the back side as well, the Russell 2000 is still just, it has been on a tear since 2024 or the bottom part of the tariff talk of 2025 back in April, and it's literally almost hitting all-time highs here, which is really interesting. So yeah, I actually did hit all-time highs. It pulled back here, and so I'm kind of expecting to see this really start to show some, again, weakness, because it's just this. You see here, we're kind of pausing here. We had a good amount of buyer volume here. Seller volume here coming in, and the fact is that we're at this week kind of coming down, taking profit towards the end of the month, and so I would expect us, if we're going to see it go down, see the Russell go down as well. We're kind of hitting some resistance here with liquidity up here on the. So if we're going to see it go up at the end of October, I want to see it come down into these lower levels again, and then push back up again. This area is going to be that 2374 area and that 2346 area as a flip zone for watching for the Russell. And the reason why the Russell is important, because the Russell typically shows us what like the real job market is doing. And so you would expect to see people do layoffs, restructure, and then bring on their employees, right? They're going to try to hold on to the top of all their employees here, but it's still going to be difficult for them to, if things start to really slow down, if the economy starts to slow down, if we see a slow Christmas and people aren't buying, they do more sentimental gifts. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens here. So kind of expecting, like I said, a slowdown in October, seeing a pullback, seeing the hunt for red October happen. Good thing I sold most when I read about that. Something happened with their token coin, and then it's super pump. November. Do y'all know what happened with Leash? No, I do not. Do you know what's going on with the Leash thing?
Nope. Nope, I don't. I don't know what's going on with Leash. That was one of the Shiba ecosystem one things, right? Don't know what's going on to it. Baby Drago's hoping for that pump Vember. I think it's supposed to be Pumptober, but I don't think it's going to Pumptober either. If you recall, everybody was. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it just depends. Like, again, if we see it go down in the beginning of October, that is a good thing, right? We want to see something like that. I want to see it go up just a little in October and then come down and then get to a support level, which we'll find right here as I begin at the beginning here, and then we'll see it go up. So I think we'll see something like that with Bitcoin and the traditional markets is what I'm expecting. But again, important to understand that it all depends on the first portion of that week. What's going to happen that first week, that first few days into the week, first week of October. Go ahead, Tom. What are you saying?
No, I was just saying, last year, everyone went into the fourth quarter very optimistic. And there wasn't massive pump. There was an October pump in the altcoins. They had a little altcoin season. There was a little bit of up skis, but it wasn't, people were also calling for Bitcoin to finish the year last year at 200,000. Altcoins, Solana would be at a bazillion, BNB would just be at an infinity. And it didn't happen. And, the market has not been doing what people have been expecting it as the past bull runs have, because this is a different one. This is the first time that institutions have been heavily involved. This is the first time that, the government is behind this whole thing. It's different. And not only that, Pedro, but there's more people holding Bitcoin than ever. You point out the volume all the time of Bitcoin trading, and that's down. And the fewer people that trade it, the less people. It's always a misnomer when people think, oh, everyone's holding, the price is going to go up. No. If everyone's just holding blindly, the price is going to go down, because eventually there's not enough buyers. The people that want to sell, have to lower their price to sell into where all the buyers are. And it's not the other way around. When everyone is holding, that doesn't mean buyers are driving the price up. It's always the opposite. People talk about they even talk about it. They start talking about it with SafeMoon. They're like, oh, it's gonna be supply shock. It's gonna go up. SafeMoon ultimately had like, what was it, 1 or 7 septillion tradable units or something like that. It's some number so outrageous you couldn't even believe it. Bitcoin, remember, it's not 21 million coins. It's 2.1 quadrillion tradable units. So there's no supply shock. What you have is fewer people trading, which means a smaller group of people get to manipulate the market. And we all know that's happening. And what do they want? They want long-term gains. So what is that? What does Pedro beat into my head here, ladies and gentlemen, every week after week after week? If you want long-term gains, it's better to buy it cheaper. So they want the price to go down. That's why Pedro has those levels at 90,000. You see in his charts, 90,000. And if you bring up Bookmap, there are lots of orders down there, big heat maps of liquidity, because the big people want to buy down there because it's easier to double their money going 90 to 180 than going 120 to 240. It's just easier.
I want to go into the bonds here next. Real quick, I want to kind of take note here so that they can.
All right. Well, the bonds is usually a long segment. Let's do that after the break.
Yeah. Okay.
But I for sure can speed the break up as well.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do the break, and then we'll go right into the bonds. I'm going to read some stuff because AI is really good at explaining things simplistically.
Sometimes. Sometimes it's not, and you get the verbose AI answer, and you're like, oh, I just wanted to know what the temperature was outside, and they explained how the Earth's core rotates. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to the top of the hour break here. We'll be back with you in just a moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for putting up with the quick commercial break there while Pedro and I exfil things and ingest other things as it goes during the during these commercial breaks. Anyway, it's the top of the hour here, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, the man in the box. Next to me, Mr. Pedro Garcia. Bitcoin trading on 113, still trading in that zone we can't seem to break out of. Every time we try to break out of it, it pulls us back in. Every time we try to go lower, it pulls us back up. Anyway, we talked a lot about that in the beginning part of the show. It's Technical Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. This part of the show, we are going to spend the top part of the show talking about the bond markets. Pedro, what's going on in the bond markets?
So I'm actually going to read this. I actually wrote it. I said, what is this chart about? And this is the 10-year to 2-year. Every time I watch myself talk about it, I mess it up. And so, not mess it up as in, I just make it too complicated. So I basically said, hey, ChatGPT, explain this to me like I'm 10 years old. So it actually does a really good job. So this is the 10-year yield and 2-year yield and their spreads and how they actually work. And
right.
This is important with kind of some of the job markets and what we're going to expect to see some of the stuff happening with yields and the bonds. So here you go. All right, Pedro, imagine this. The government's piggy bank. The government's piggy bank. The U.S. government has 2 piggy banks. One is for 2 years, short term. One is 10 years, long term. When people lend money to the government, they get paid back with a little extra called interest or yield. What the chart shows. This chart is likely a scoreboard showing how much more money people get from their 10-year piggy bank compared to the 2-year piggy bank. Right now, the 10-year piggy bank gives more than the 2-year. That's normal. Why it gets weird. Sometimes the 2-year piggy bank gives more than the 10-year one. That's like getting more candy for waiting less time, which is strange. When that happens, grown-ups who study money get worried. It can mean the economy might be in trouble. So why do people care? Because this chart helps smart people guess if the country's money system is doing okay or might be headed for a rough patch. And as you can see, we were heading for a rough patch here, which is why I was expecting things to fall apart. But we've seen it start to pull back. But when you look at this chart and we start to look at where the 200 period moving average is sitting right up in here, this right here is an indication of, again, another pullback. And this is not good because when you look at the 3-month chart, you've got a nice little supply wick here. And that supply wick is a pretty strong supply wick. So it's not the best thing. And that's the same area on the 3-month, the 6-month area that I'm expecting things to kind of start to fall apart here if it doesn't go well. And so this could mean from a charting standpoint, and I know people want to sit there and say, no, you can't chart the 10-year and 2-year. Well, I've been charting the other 1-month, 3-month, 6-month, which basically consolidates and enters the area that I expect and then reacts to it. So just saying, might want to pay attention.
Just saying.
I mean, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. For the sake of our country. That's why. But with that, you can see here on the monthly area, this area here is literally where we have the 200 period moving average and the 400 period moving average sitting, and they're playing right here. Just not a good play here. So if this next month we see it go up hard, this might go down here. So just be ready for that. That's just something we're gonna come back to later. But I wanted to kind of, or later in a week or 2-3 weeks, we're gonna be following this. It's important. Just like how I was explaining with the VIX, we follow the VIX because it lets us know from a volatility standpoint really where if things are getting hairy. And many times banksters will go through and front run the market craziness by buying the volatility. Right, and when they buy vol, which means that you'll start to see the VIX shoot up. Sometimes before we even start to see the market start to show volatility here. And so remember we talked about in October in the beginning, if we start to see a sell-off, if that sell-off starts to get out of hand and people start to really see and think this game is over, we could see some major sell-off. So this is why we're kind of playing both ends here, saying okay, we want to understand what's happening here on the interest rates, short-term and long-term, and how they're playing, and the spread between the yields. Then we're going to look at some of the bonds and seeing if they're really are they putting their money into bonds for safety, and then are they taking the other side also so that they can get alpha, because a volatility trade can be an asymmetric trade, which means that you have small risk for a big reward. Okay, and a lot of times if the vol is down and they're getting ready for major volatility and a drop in the market, typically a drop in the market, hard drop in the market, shoots volatility up. This is where you're looking at that, and that's where also you get a lot of your open interest from, how it lets us know what it's wanting to do through the volatility that kind of correlates there. So we'll look at some of the open interest later, probably next week, see what's happening there as they start to place their trades. But this is what I'm paying attention to so that we'll be able to sit there and engage it. So right now, we're kind of waiting and seeing. We're going to wait and see what's going to happen with the supply area here. Now, if we hit that and we start to see major sell-offs, then it will allow us to position our trade, because it's not going to happen immediately, right? We'll see it happening because it's the monthly chart. So we'll go to the weekly and we'll say, oh, they just put a fat supply wick in off of this, right? And we're watching price start to fluctuate, and then we'll go to interest rates, right? Which is right here for a short-term interest rate, or not, 2-year interest rate. And we can sit there and say, oh, we're starting to see it really descend, and we're starting to hit liquidity points, right? If we hit these liquidity points, all of a sudden it hits it, boom, bounces up, and then sells off even further. I've talked about how the 2-year, you have the next, that 2.5 area kind of sitting here, but is it going to stop there? We don't know. We'll find out what happens, but I think we will stop there. It's going to be this area right here. And it's sitting around the 100 period moving average, which is basically that weekly 400, which is going to be that daily just drop, base drop. That's a bad joke, but it just means it's going to drop. I've talked about how yesterday, when we're dealing with interest rates are really important if you don't have a slowdown in jobs, right? It's just a slowdown in liquidity. That's why interest rates are really cool, is that you can actually sit there and say, okay, we're going to drop the rate here and make it advantageous for people to go ahead and take loans out, right? So that they can get businesses up and running and hire people, right? Because the price of money is too expensive. The problem is that if the economy is slowing down because of jobs, it's going to throw things off. So today, that's why I was looking at the jobs report for the JOLTS report today, and kind of paying attention to it. So we had decent, private sector jobs, and a couple other things. Are they being filled? Are Americans working them? We'll see what happens. But it's going to be real interesting to see here, actually going into next week or 2 weeks out, as we start to get into the unemployment for next month, as well as, or for this month going into next month, they report it. So it's going to be real interesting as we move forward. Again, that chart that we were just looking at is the mixture between the 10-year yield here and the 2-year yield here. Just want to make sure you see that. Yeah. That's this area here that we're kind of playing off, and we want to see how they interlay between the spread off of each other, because that will give us a good kind of indication of where they're positioning as traders for next month. So that's what we're looking at. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, next, we're going to go into the yields here. Well, not yields, into the bond market itself. We're going to go to the 10-year here. And we can see here, we saw a bit of a pullback here over the last few weeks. But the key is it's actually hitting that weekly 8 here. Weekly 8 and that monthly here, as you can see, is still showing a lot of strength. We're still, this is a good sign of saying if as long as we close kind of like this, it's basically getting ready to play off of that 50 period moving average on the monthly chart here. We close into this month, we're starting the new month over. Or so we're starting a new quarterly and a new monthly and a weekly. So when this opens up, we're going to see it most likely. If I see the bonds go down first, that means that the bonds will most likely go up towards the end of the month here. And if we see that, that means yields will go down. So I would expect to see Jerome Powell drop rates because a lot of the traders are expecting that to happen. This is going to be for this month and this quarter as we start to move forward here. So that's what we want to see with the bonds. We want to see it first go down, take liquidity right here. I want to see this go up a little, come down, take out the liquidity below here on the bond market, and then see it continue higher up into that 115 area. Then again, we'll see a pullback, right? Boom, hits that. Boom, come back down, and then we see it go higher again. So we'll see as we move forward here. A lot of working part, a lot of moving parts here, but it's important for you guys to understand. Oh man. Why? Okay, so that's on the 10-year. We'll leave that alone. Let's check out now the US dollar. No, I actually want to say India. We'll do India here. India was showing a lot of weakness over this month here, and you can see here that we were talking about this area right here at that 51.37 to the 50.90 area for the iShares INDA. We were talking about the short here coming back down to this lower level here. Let's go ahead and go here real quick. Now, if this does not hold, the next level for the Indian shares for their company, INDA, which is iShares, you can see here that you can capture it down at these lower levels here as well. And that's going to be this liquidity here. I think it'll hold here as we speak, but you never know if it falls through. This lower level here is what I would expect it to play, where it would want to go. So it's a monthly as well. So if this goes down, kind of expect the rest of the world's industry also to go down. We're going to check out China here as well. China. Sorry. Where is it? The PGJ is closing strong, so expect this to continue higher. And the part that's so crazy is like literally they're manipulating it. So it's, well, we've been manipulating ours as well. So through just
no, never.
Yeah, we can't complain about that. But man, the play that this, we talked about this area, I would expect it to pull back. If we see it hit that 200 period or 400 period moving average, sitting at that 36.92 area here. I would expect it to push up into that area and then pull back. If you want to take part in that, you can always take part in the growth of China by investing in the PGJ. It is the ETF for, it's called an Invest Golden Dragon China ETF. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm burping here. So this is kind of like where I'm looking for a pullback from. If we do hit again October, this is the new quarter, so we will see most likely a deeper pullback into a continued up higher. That's our plans, what we're expecting. If you like Russia, or you want to take part in their profit here, here is an ETF.
Get around the sanctions.
Well, there you go. I mean, people are trading it, so obviously somebody is. I bet you it's the banksters. But you can see it pulling back down into this lower area. We'll just leave this one. It's not that big of a deal. All right, let's talk about the dollar now. Dollar's been acting very interesting. We talked about it showing strength from our lower levels here. We saw it pull back, pull the liquidity, but then now we saw it go up. We talked about this area here of that 89, 99 area here acting as resistance. It didn't even get up all the way up here as it was now as the traders are taking profit on the dollar. If you look at the month of September, it pretty much just gave us a big doji. You can see here it went down first, then went up, and now it's kind of coming down here. So if we see it close above and see it close green, this is going to be a bullish sign for the US dollar to go up. Now I expect as we really start to go into this next quarter, I think Trump will finish up a lot of these tariff talks and things will actually get going again, which will then be need for the US dollar again, because people will need to buy US dollars for trade. And the fact is that he's really hitting hard on a lot of businesses also here in America, to like Pfizer talking about, look, if you want to get around these tariffs, come over here and create businesses here in America, create actual like on the ground manufacturing jobs here so that our people can work. Are they going to do that? Well, Pfizer's starting to, so they're coming over. He was just talking hard about, look, you guys cannot come after us so hard when it comes to charging us a lot of money for Medicare for medications. This is crazy, right? You can do a lot less than that. And the argument on the other side has been, well, how do you think we're actually able to create all these dope medications? Is we charge the US people through Medicare so that we can make money and create real businesses, or create real like
an indirect subsidy.
Yeah, it's an indirect subsidy, exactly. And so, perfect way of saying it. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays. If I was in Pfizer, which I'm not, and I'm glad I'm not, right? Right. But there are other ways to make income off the backs of, the American people. How about actually do things like more preventative healthcare? That could actually be a bigger month-to-month income, right? I know, how dare I? How dare I? And then actually put money into like gems, or literally say, you know what, people, we know that you guys actually spend a lot.
Nice knowing you, Pedro. There's going to be some men at your door tonight. Black Suburbans. Who are you? You the Secret Service? No. You bodyguards for the president? No. We're the security group for the pharmaceutical company. You're being renditioned to Cuba. Guantanamo for you.
Guantanamo Bay here over here. But like this is kind of like what I'm expecting to see. So if we start to see things really pick up, that will see a slowdown with a lot of the jobs being kind of stagnant if we don't solidify a lot of those tariff talks here. So for my people out there, be ready for that. If that doesn't happen, expect the US dollar to continue down. But if we start to see
there's been an unusual lack of tariff talks lately. I mean, there hasn't, the market was like on edge for like weeks, like just waiting for Trump to talk. Like at 10 a.m. on Mondays was guaranteed tariff talk. Japan, China, Europe. I was doing the Bill Clinton voice there, but
I was gonna
That
say.
was me. I still don't have an effective Trump voice.
Where's
But
where's what happened to Monica Lewinsky? I always think about her.
yeah, she's still working out her fame. She runs some nonprofit association of some sort.
Yeah. I wonder if it's funded by the Clinton.
Amazingly, she's one of the few people associated with the Clintons that's still alive. So good for her.
She kind of has to, and they can't just kill her off. You know what I'm saying? Like, because she's like.
Then everybody would be like, "All right, Bill, Hillary. That the rest of the stuff was kind of obvious, but we let it slide because the conspiracy theory people would run with that forever. But if you off, she's off now. Come on, really? Maybe like
all of a sudden she accidentally fell out of a
18-story hotel that she hadn't checked into.
It was something illicit she went there for. Maybe Bill.
One of the best reports from Russia was one of the oligarchs died. He fell off of his balcony, and they listed the hotel, in such and such. And reporters went to go see it, take a picture of it or something like that, or look it up on Google Maps. And then there was no hotel there. It was just a random building. Yeah, he just made that one up.
Make you go. Listen, I mean, we Americans have our oligarchs. I mean, that's the reality. But the thing is they don't starve and kill their people. No, I mean, comparative to living on their land. I mean, there's the difference there. But they do own a ton of. But I also, they work hard. I mean, I got to give it up. Elon Musk worked his butt off. You know what I'm saying? Literally sleeping on the manufacturing floors to build his businesses. Same thing with Amazon. Amazon, dude, he struggled, bro. And then finally, especially when it went from $100 to, I think it hit $5 for Amazon. And he's like, nothing's changed. We still have more contracts coming in. We still have more, and y'all killing us over here. Right? So it's like,
Jeff loaded up, bought a bunch of stock back. Yeah. Billions. You know what he said? He said, I am going to rebuy this stock because I know it's going to be worth a lot, so I can sell it and build the world's ugliest boat ever seen for $500 million. I mean, you got $500 million to spend, whatever it was, $200 million spend on a boat. Don't make it the ugliest thing in the planet. I mean, there's lots of great boat designers out there. His boat, you just see it coming. Like, what did the people when he went to the Monaco? His boat doesn't fit in the harbor there, but they still moored out there, and the people in Monaco were criticizing the American wealth as being gauche.
Well, I mean, you can't.
It is an ugly boat. I'm sure. Let me say, I would love to have it. I would love to have the wherewithal and the means to operate the boat and chill in the Mediterranean. But it's I don't know how many of our viewers are familiar with Bezos yachts, but
I'm curious to see what it shows. I've never seen it. I don't have much to speak about. So Jeff Bezos boat yacht. Curious to see it.
Ladies and gentlemen, take while Pedro's enjoying this. We later in the show, we're approaching our third half hour of the show. We need to get another 20 minutes or so of premium content for our Rumble Creator Partnership. And so it's sometime in the next half hour of the show, we're going to flip this over to Rumble Premium. And finish that off so we can finish, because today's the last day of the month. Once again, I forgot that this month has 30 days. 30.
So is this it right here? It doesn't look that bad, I feel like. I mean, I'm looking at it. It's not.
No, that's not the yacht. It's a wacky looking sailboat of some sort.
Oh, I was gonna say I thought it looked decent. I mean, so maybe it's this one then right here. Is it this one right here?
Not that. I think that's his support boat that follows him around
Jeez.
with his helicopter. Literally, he's got a giant support boat that follows him with the helicopter and stuff on it.
Oh, that's hilarious. So he's got a yacht and a boat and a support boat. Okay. Yeah. Well, here's the thing: when you're worth over $100 billion and you're making 3% on your money, $3 billion a year, $4 billion a year you're making. I mean, it is like
He's gonna stake that in USDC somewhere. You're gonna see USDC go boom.
Dude, he's not gonna do that. He's gonna create his own Amazon freaking stable coin. Now that, dude, I cannot wait. In all honesty, I cannot wait where I can go to USD insert stable coin and see them fighting for people to invest in it. And all of a sudden now you've got 7%, 8%, 10%, 15%, right? And it's just like that's like when airlines fight, right? For seats. That is like going to be one of those epic things, because it's like you'll actually be able to go in and capture real yield off of these, and just let your money sit, and then you can trade with it or whatever and put it aside, or they'll create some form of money market stablecoin accounts where you can actually just quickly just say, okay, this one's giving me a better yield for the day. Boom, there you go, right? And just see it playing. I'm looking forward to that experience, and it would be stupid not for Amazon to want to get part in just that extra liquidity for their stock, for their business. I mean, it's gonna be real interesting. And it's funny is I love the fact that we talked about that like almost 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. You know, for anybody who was even talking about or even mentioning it, I just remember
I know that we were talking about, because I remember bringing up the counter argument is that, banks used to issue their own notes all the time, just like they're starting to issue stable coins and all that, and it didn't turn out too well. Didn't work out well at all.
Well, here's the thing: they weren't buying. There was nothing really backing it, right? They weren't buying U.S. treasuries. Whereas I said, to really get it backed, I'd expect them to actually be able to back that with the U.S. treasuries. And this is when the whole entire situation was going on with U.S. Tether, saying, are they really, or is it? Yeah, it was UST, right? USDT. When they were really questioning, was it really backed by gold?
Right.
And then that's when was the president's not Fitzgerald. Why am I forgetting what it's called? Your dad's friend.
Cantor Fitzgerald.
Is it Cantor Fitzgerald?
He's now the Secretary of Commerce.
Secretary of Commerce, yeah.
Howard Lutnick.
Lutnick, holy moly. That was so hard for me to remember. Yeah, Fitzgerald, Counter Fitzgerald. But I didn't have the whole entire thing. But the reason why I bring that up is because he came out and literally was like, nah, dude. Nah, dog. Like, these guys are backed up from like to the tilt. Like, don't trip about them. They're hardcore. That's gangster, basically, because he's a gangster. And everybody's like, dog. All right, my bad.
That's gangster.
Bad. I mean, it really was. I mean, the way he came out and said, "Oh, that's silly," like the way, and everybody said, "Okay, next." Like it was like one of those moments. We're not gonna fight with you, dude, because we know like you are a real boss, and you're not gonna come out there and risk your whole entire credibility that you've built over 40 years to sit there and just say, "Yeah, they're not backed," or they are backed when they're not backed. And that's really cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so I just love the fact that we did, and that was the argument of they're going to get backed by the U.S. Treasury, because then, as Putin, economic advisor, has said over in Russia, like, America is literally exporting their debt to the rest of the world. Like, and every time.
It's no different than the U.S. kind of exporting its debt back onto its own citizens by
I don't disagree.
Requiring stable coins to be backed by U.S. treasuries. Suddenly, the U.S. taxpayer is buying its own debt.
Well, here's the other part. Not only just buying its own debt, but it's earning a yield of its own debt. You know, at least we're like, if we're gonna bend ourselves over, bro, we're gonna go. But here's the thing, we're also taking the rest of the world with us as well. That's the part that's so sad. It's like, and the rest of the world's like, let's see how far this party will keep running. It's almost like when what's his name on the Wolf of Wall Street, when the guy why am I forgetting the guy's name? When he was sitting there, he was closing down, and he's sitting there, and they're like, yeah, this is the sad day. We're closing down. It was in the middle of the movie, right? And he sits there and he goes, we're closing everything down. We're going to try to figure this out. And then all of a sudden he's like, I remember when I saw you and you were basically poor. And I remember you when you were poor. And he's like, I'm not closing this thing down. He's hitting himself in the head and he's just like, let's go. And it's almost like America was Trump. We were saying, we're going to try to handle this debt thing. We're going to try to take care of it and really make sure that we can pay it down and stop the government from overspending. And then Trump looked around and goes, we can still make money. We can do this. And he's like, and all of a sudden he's like, we're going to export this debt to the rest of the world and you're all going to love it. And the rest of the world's like, yeah. And China and Russia is going like, nah, dog, we thought we were.
No, we're good. No,
but
we're good.
But the thing is they created their own blockchain. So it'd be stupid for them not. It's like me saying I'm not going to buy XRP, and XRP went from 30 cents all the way to $3. So they will be left in the dust if they don't participate. You know what I'm saying? They can always do a counter risk trade and make sure that they have, other, play risk. You know what I'm saying? As perpetual futures come in, that's what I would do.
All right, Pedro, it's time for, we haven't had many opportunities, and we've more than had, hold on, didn't work. Got to redo. We get the opportunity to
should finish off with
make a few bucks here. Dun 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 dun. Hey, football fanatics. Are you ready for some prime-time NFL action? Tune in to the Westwood One for all the gridiron glory you crave. From jaw-dropping touchdowns to game-changing plays, don't miss a moment of the excitement. Catch every snap, every tackle, and every victory on Westwood One. You can listen to the NFL on the NFL app, on the Westwood One Sports app, and on the WestwoodOneSports.com via Westwood One station streams, or by asking Alexa to open up the Westwood One Sports. If it's the NFL, it's on Westwood One. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, there's a little QR code right here on my shoulder. If you're watching on Rumble, it shows up. If you're watching somewhere else, it doesn't. But if you're watching on big screen TV, go ahead and hold your phone up in the air like that and pop that QR code. Visit our, they're not even asking for your money. Just go visit our sponsors. Let them know we have an interactive audience and that they're interested in learning all about Westwood One Sports. If you're on your phone, in the chat, there's a little link down there. It says learn more. And if you're watching on the replay, down in the description, there'll be a link to the Westwood One Sports website and download of their app. So thank you to Westwood One Sports for sponsoring this segment of DYOR Live. Alrighty there. Hadn't done that in a while.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
Pedro, we only have, the last half hour of this show. I know our audience hasn't been big and making it smaller. It isn't the best scenario and all that, but we really need that extra half hour of creator time, of premium time in order to meet our quota this year and stay in good graces with Rumble. So ladies and gentlemen, Pedro and I are going to take this over to Rumble Premium. As always, if you're not a Rumble Premium member, you can click the register button below us here and join us in our premium sessions. The goal is to give out super alpha in these premium sessions. But to be honest, right now, it'll just be Pedro and I bullshitting more about Bitcoin and stuff like that. In the future, though, that's the goal for these things, especially as we get hopefully moving sooner rather than later with TradeWave, our app. But for right now, we're going to go over to Premium. If you want to spend the money on joining, remember, use the code word STUDIO, and you get $10 off your annual subscription. for that. So we'll see you on the flip side, everybody. Other than that, if you are not going to join us in the premium session, we'll see you tomorrow.